As all of us would be aware, Telangana, particularly Hyderabad, has been a very prominent hub for industries. We have a large number of industrial clusters in and around the city of Hyderabad, and also in other districts of Telangana like Karimnagar, Warangal, Ramagundam, Kottagudem, and so on and so forth. And the process of industrialization in this state, particularly in and around Hyderabad, has started almost 6 decades ago. As we all know, the Union government at that point in time, in the 50s, in the 60s, followed this Soviet model of decentralized industrialization led by state government public sector undertakings, and many such units were allotted to Hyderabad. So for example, the Indian Drug and Pharmaceutical Limited, IDPL, was set up here. Hindustan Machine Tools was established here. Bharat Heavy Electrical Limited was established here, and subsequently lots of defense manufacturing PSUs also got set up in and around Hyderabad. And over a period of time, they also encouraged large number of ancillary suppliers, particularly in the SME sector. And today, if you look at the state as a whole, we have almost 70,000 SMEs, and of course a large number of large manufacturers as well. So Hyderabad and the other clusters in Telangana have been major industrial centers in our country. And while that is in some sense a very positive thing, in the sense that they have contributed to the growth of the economy, they have created hundreds and thousands of jobs. On the flip side, there have been also some adverse consequences of this level of industrialization, particularly in terms of very heavy carbon footprints, contribution to environmental pollution, degradation, resources inefficiency, and so on and so forth. So as a government, we are very conscious of the fact that we have to set a strong example in ensuring that the positives of the industries are maximized in the state, and all these adverse consequences are minimized, and at some point in time they are completely eliminated. So the government and all its agencies are fully conscious of our responsibilities, and we work with the industries, industry organizations, resource organizations, civil society organizations, domain experts, etc., to introduce as many concepts related to positive environmental footprint, positive behavior in terms of disposal of waste, etc., as possible. So some of the initiatives that we have taken, particularly here in our state of Telangana, are worth speaking about. So in our Industrial Infrastructure Corporation, the TSIIC, we have created a dedicated cell for environment management, and we have ensured that some of the older industrial parks are retrofitted to become green industrial parks, and whatever new parks come up, they are completely green parks. And we have received lots of technical inputs from even international agencies who have guided us, who have kind of trained our staff in how to do the master planning for a green industrial park. In fact, we have an industrial park very close to Hyderabad called the Industrial Park Jayesh, where we have showcased how a green industrial park can be set up. So all the water which is coming as rainfall into that industrial park, that is harvested within the park. There is a very scientific method of disposal of waste, both solid waste as well as liquid waste. We also follow the practice of what is called industrial symbiosis, in the sense that the waste which is generated in one unit perhaps can become a source of energy to its neighboring unit, and so on and so forth. And I know for sure that a few pharmaceutical companies which are located in the Green Industrial Park, Jadcherla, are actually emulating this industrial symbiosis concept. We are setting up one of the largest of recent times, a dedicated industrial park only for the small and mid-scale industries, again at the outskirts of Hyderabad, spread over almost 700 acres, where again all the concepts are green. There is a typical myth in the industrial circles that if you have to follow these kind of environmental management practices and norms, etc., it costs quite a lot, and therefore the large industries have the wherewithal to absorb all these costs and live with it. But the SMEs are really hit hard. Their financials, their budgets don't permit them to adopt green features. So in this new SME park, which is coming up in the outskirts of Hyderabad, We want actually to break this myth. We want to disprove this myth to show that all the SMEs also are equally conscious and responsible and concerned about their load on the industrial atmospheric pollution and what they can do to prevent that or minimize that. And here in this particular case, 800 MSMEs have actually subscribed to the green code which is coming up in this green industrial park exclusively for MSMEs. The government has been trying to showcase amongst the larger industrial audience, and we have received very encouraging initial results. We have noticed that many industries by themselves have started monitoring their energy usage. I have seen a couple of very fascinating startup solutions. There is one startup solution, for instance, in which the startup actually guides the industry on the amount of energy it consumes as a trend, that they have really benefited from getting this kind of a very real-time hands-on monitoring done. So many such solutions are today available. They have been adopted. People monitor not just the energy consumption, but also the amount of waste which they generate. The concept of recycling and reusing much of that waste has also become a very integral part of the consciousness of the industrial units. We now find more and more number of companies who are reporting a significant reduction in the amount of waste that they are discarding completely, which implies that a large part of that waste is getting recycled or it is getting reused within the factory. We have a huge industry here in the plastics sector. In fact, Hyderabad is one of the important locations for this industry throughout the country. The plastic waste was generated, which used to be just trashed, and the amount of load it used to cause on the system, which had to take responsibility for this wastage, was also enormous. But again, the Plastic Industry Association here in Telangana has been able to document and report to us that almost by 30 to 40% they have been able to reduce that waste, because they have introduced lots of recycling practices in the industry. In fact, quite a new number of firms have started. So efficiencies are coming up in multiple other sectors as well. Another sector which is worth speaking about is our electronics industry. Because of the presence of a significant number of defense PSUs, we have a large number of MSMEs who are into defense electronics in particular. But there are also companies which are in consumer electronics and automotive electronics and so on and so forth. So and plus Hyderabad, as we all know, is an important tech hub of the country, and there are close to 550,000 IT professionals who work in the city, employed by almost 1,700 companies. So there's a huge amount of electronic waste or e-waste that gets generated. But again, we find that unlike a few other cities in our country where this has really become a menace, the electronic waste disposal has become a huge burden on the civic authorities. The same is not true of Hyderabad at all. The ways in which sensitization and awareness programs have been conducted on how do you segregate hazardous component of your electronic waste and the rest of the components, and how do you dispose them safely, how do you segregate them, all that has been working quite well here. So again, an example of how knowledge, once it is kind of generated and accepted to become a useful piece of information, is disseminated amongst the stakeholders, and how incentives are shared with the stakeholders to adopt those kind of recommendations. While we progress towards rapid industrialization and we continue to invite more and more investments into our state, the government also needs to give an assurance to the citizens of the state that while industries bring jobs and give that dynamism to the economy, they also are very aware of the fact that potentially they can cause lots of damage to our environment, and lots of preventive and mitigative measures are put in place to ensure that that doesn't happen. And there is a robust monitoring mechanism also which takes care of such things not happening at all. So Telangana, in my opinion, can be considered a success story in terms of managing the industrial waste scientifically, looking at bringing in more and more resource efficiencies in multiple industrial sectors, and the role which has been played by government to catalyze all this has been appreciated in all quarters. And I'm very happy if more and more such developments, newer ideas, newer ways, newer sciences and technology solutions are made available to us so that we are able to showcase better results in times to come. Among the various organizations with whom we partner, one of our recent partners has been the Institute for Circular Economy and Sustainable Development Goals. This is a very important resource organization, and we have benefited a lot from their inputs, particularly in the areas of e-waste segregation and disposal to begin with. But upon our request, they have also started working on plastics, on paper and other forms of waste. And we do hope that our relationship will continue to flourish, and we will gain lots of better insights on waste management and resource efficiency from the rich insights and rich base of knowledge that they possess. So look forward to staying connected with all of you. Look forward to get your ideas, your suggestions, your feedback on all these initiatives that we are taking here in Telangana.